Good morning, and still nobody's there, so let us wait for the students. Good morning and welcome, Janvi. Good morning and welcome, Abhinash. So let us wait for 2 more minutes and then we'll start this lab. Good morning and welcome, Shivansh. Fine, so we can start the lab now. So till now, what we have discussed up to practical number 4, where we had applied different kind of filters, which is going to perform data pre-processing task and all. Now, very good morning, Shivansh. And in today's lab, what we are going to discuss, we are going to start with new practical 5. In practical 5, 6, 7, these particles are linked to each other. Why? Because all these particles are based on one algorithm, a priori. Fine. So what this a priori algorithm is do? A priori algorithm is going to find out frequent item sets, and based on frequent item set you can find out association rules. Based on association rules you can find out the different kind of correlations and all. So all these things are possible based on finding out frequent patterns or frequent items. Fine. So for that you should have the understanding of different concepts, like what is frequent pattern, like what is support, what is confidence. Fine. So all these things you should have idea, and plus what is the working of a priori, how it is working. Fine. So that we'll discuss in practical number 5, where we are going to discuss that how this a priori is working, and we'll find out the association rules in the next practical. In this fifth, we are going to find out frequent patterns. Based on frequent patterns, we are going to find out association rules in next practical, and then we will see that how you can use that a priori in Veka in seventh practical. Fine. So starting the fifth practical, you should have idea about different concepts. What is frequent pattern? What is support? What is confidence? What is the purpose behind finding out frequent patterns? All these things you should have clear idea about it, and then you will be able to understand that what is the working of a priori. Fine. So let us start with that. And yes, as you can see here, that all these frequent patterns, a priori, association rules, all these are the part of your unit number 7 up to this. In your unit number 7 up to this, all these are the concepts that we are going to discuss in lab sessions in detail. Fine. So while will start seventh unit, we are not going to have any kind of detailed discussion on these topics, because we are going to discuss all these things during the lab sessions. Fine. Because we need to perform practical based on a priori as well as association rules, frequent patterns and all. Fine. So all these things we are going to discuss during the lab sessions. FP growth and all those things are techniques are different, so that we'll discuss during the lab sessions. But all these concepts, topics we are going to discuss during the lab sessions, because as you can see here, that is the part of your practical. Fine. So now we can start with, you can say that seventh unit, or parallelly we will run this seventh unit based on this fifth, sixth, seventh practical. Okay, let us start it. Seventh unit will start, and different things are there. Yes, we need to start with this topic. So first of all, what is the importance of this finding out frequent patterns and all? Right, so this image is taken from your reference book, and what is the meaning of this image? Fine. So whenever we are visiting any shopping mall, let us say we are visiting DMart, uh, what we are doing, we are picking up one cart, we are adding different items, and then we will check out. We'll do the payment and we'll do the checkout. Fine. So just consider the same thing for thousands or lakhs of customers. What you will find, you will find that in all the customers cart you will find different items. Now from those items, what the companies will do, companies will store those things as a transaction in the database. They are having that, let us, customer 1 is coming, customer 1 has purchased milk, bread, butter, Customer 2 is coming. Customer 2 has purchased milk, bread, egg, sugar. Customer 3 is coming. Customer 3 has purchased milk, bread, butter. Customer 4 has purchased, let us say, sugar and eggs. Fine. So same way, thousands or lakhs of customers data will be there with the companies. Now, what the companies can do with this kind of data? Companies can find out some kind of interesting thing from data. Which kind of thing? So as you can see in this image, that there is one market analyst, and that market analyst is trying to find out the answer of few questions. Questions like, let us say, which items are frequently purchased together by the customers. That means what? Let us say, whenever we are visiting this kind of shopping mall and all, uh, or let us say whenever we want to cook pizza at our home, what we will do, along with pizza bases, we are also preferring to purchase cheese. We are also going to purchase, let us say, soft drinks. Fine. So same way, what these things are, these things are those things which are frequently purchased together, one item with other item. For example, if you are going to purchase, let us say, chips, along with chips you're also going to purchase soft drinks, for example. Fine. So same way, let us say, if you are going to purchase cake, along with cake you are also going to purchase candles. Fine. So these are the frequent items, you can say. How you can find out they are frequent item or not? That is based on some kind of threshold or some kind of concept. Fine. So you can say that those items are frequent, which are appearing so many times in data set together. Fine. For example, if you are finding out that, let us say, chips and soft drinks are appearing too many times in your data set, that means what? Those item sets are, those items are frequent items, which are appearing together too many times in your data. That is the frequent pattern or frequent pattern analysis, you can say. And this concept is also called market basket analysis, because in market, customers are purchasing multiple items together, and from their purchase history, market analysts can do so many kind of analysis. They can find out answers for so many kind of questions. That is market basket analysis. Fine. So this process, first point, this process analyzes customers buying habits, which what, or let us say, which customer is purchasing which items frequently, for example. Right? So maybe possible that whenever you are visiting, let us say, DMart or Big Bazaar, or let us say Reliance, uh, some items will be your favorite items, and always you're going to prefer it, or most of the times you're going to prefer it. Fine. So uh, this process is going to analyze customers buying habits by finding associations between the different items. Like, is there any kind of association or not? Let us say whenever you're purchasing pizza base, you are also going to prefer cheese. So is there any kind of association between these two items or multiple items? That you can find out. This kind of association among different items you can find out by doing this kind of market basket analysis. The discovery of, second point, the discovery of these association can help the retailer or the companies to develop marketing strategies. Fine. So companies can prepare their marketing strategies, different kind of offers, schemes, discounts, by doing this kind of analysis or finding out the association among different items. Like if you are saying that there is some kind of association between, let us say, pizza base and cheese, then companies can offer that if you are going to purchase pizza base, then you will get 1 cube of cheese free or at 50% discount. Fine. So what they are doing, they are trying to find out the insight from the data, and they're going to find out frequently purchased item together by the customers, uh, based on different association or all, and they are going to prepare marketing strategies based on this. Third point, for instance, if customers are buying milk, let us say whenever you are visiting dairy farm, if you are purchasing milk, how likely you are also going to purchase bread along with milk? Is there any chance that you will also go with milk? You also purchase milk. Fine. So this kind of things you can identify, you can analyze by doing this kind of market basket analysis. Fourth point, if this information can lead to increased sales, what companies can do? Companies can get benefit of this and they can increase their sales by helping retailers or companies to do selective marketing. So they can do selective marketing like on which products are very less preferred by the customers. So if they want to give the highlight or if they want to increase their weightage, their sales, then they will add up those items along with other items which are more frequently purchased as some offer, as some schemes, and they can increase the sales. They can do this kind of selective marketing, and they can also plan their shelf space. So what is this planning of shelf space? It is the same thing that you might have experienced. For example, if you have visited DMart before few years, their structure, their path was different. It was open to all the sections. You can enter into the DMart and you can visit any of the section. And now visit the DMart. What is happening? They have fixed the path. They have fixed the route. You need to pick up one route particularly, and then you can go to other routes. Right? So which routes are there or what they're doing? They're putting some snakes, let us say some biscuits, wafers, chips, this kind of things at the initial shelves, so that most of the customers will be attracted to those items and they will definitely purchase it. And at the end of your store also, they are putting some kind of chocolates or some kind of other items. Whenever you are going to stand for the payment queue, at the time you will find also some items they have placed. So what they have done here, they have done some analysis, and based on that they have changed their shelf space, which items to be placed at which particular place, in which sequence. All these things are what planning of their shelf space. Like if you want to purchase, let us say, shampoo, if you want to purchase soap, then first you need to pick the route where you will find out chips, you will find out biscuits and all this kind of items first. Then and then you will be able to reach at that particular place where they have putted uh, biscuits, soaps and shampoos and all this kind of regular items together. Fine. So this is a kind of strategy. This is a kind of shelf planning. So all these kind of things are happened, or you can find out based on market basket analysis. So this is one of the most important question that you can be asked, that explain market basket analysis with some example. So this kind of question can be asked. Now, frequent pattern analysis, that is we are going to do in our fifth practical. So few terms you should be understanding. Some terms are there with about which you should have idea. So first term is frequent pattern. This term will come so many times during this fifth, sixth, seventh practical. What's a frequent pattern? What is it? A pattern, a set of items, subsequences, or substructures, etc. Or you can say that the kind of pattern which is having different kind of items that occurs frequently in data set. Let us say few items are there which are appearing too many times in data set. Then you can call it those items or pattern as frequent pattern. Like let us say chips, soft drink, then let us say milk, bread butter. These kind of items you can find out more frequently in your data or data set. That's why you can call it those kind of items or those kind of pattern as frequent pattern, because it is appearing too many times. Now there is one threshold, there is a kind of condition on which you can decide that whether it is frequent or not. That we'll discuss later in this lab itself. Then what is the goal of this of doing this kind of frequent pattern analysis. What you will get by doing this kind of frequent pattern analysis, by finding out frequent patterns from your data set. So this frequent pattern is a kind of regularities in data. So it is kind of what we are doing here. We are trying to find out regularities in data. Which kind of regularities is there inside your data? And you can find out the answers of different questions. Like first question, what products were often purchased together? For example, if in one data set you are finding out beer and diaper too many times, fine. So you can say that these items are purchased together by the customers. Second, what are subsequent purchases after buying a PC? Let us say whenever we are purchasing new laptop, new PC, along with that we are also going to purchase keyboard, or let us say mouse, or hard disk, or pen drive, these kind of things. Fine. So all these kind of items like mouse, keyboard, pen drives, all these are the subsequent purchases that we are purchasing after one particular item. But you can find out this kind of things also. Then fourth thing, that is what kinds of DNA are sensitive to this new drug. So whenever you are or pharmaceutical companies are introducing new drugs, which kind of effect it will have on DNAs, that they can find out by doing this kind of frequent pattern analysis. Next, can we automatically classify the web document? Like whenever we are receiving any mail, it is directly going to be classified as spam or promotional mail or inbox, important mail. How? Based on the words appeared in that mail. That is also what frequent pattern analysis. Now, which are the applications of this frequent pattern analysis? Applications are let us say you can have basket data analysis, you can do cross marketing, you can prepare a design catalog, you can analyze it, you can analyze the sale campaigns like Flipkart, Amazon, all these are running so many kind of campaigns or sales, before sales, after sales, during sales, which items are preferred more frequently or most like items are there, all these kind of things they can do. Then weblog analysis, where you are finding out that customer is holding that cursor how much seconds or how much time, for how much time on particular item, and how many clicks are there for particular items. All these kind of things are under weblog analysis. And DNA sequence analysis, all these are the applications of frequent pattern analysis. Now, why it is important? Why this frequent pattern mining is so important? First, this frequent pattern is kind of property of data. In any data set, in any data, you will find frequent patterns. So it is kind of important property of data or data set. Then this frequent pattern mining is a kind of foundation, is kind of base for so many essential mining techniques or data mining techniques or tasks. Right? So you can say that by doing this frequent pattern mining, you can perform so many other tasks of data mining also just based on this frequent pattern mining. Which kind of data mining task? So association, correlation, and causality analysis, then subsequent structure or patterns. You can find out pattern analysis. You can use it in classification. You can use it in clustering, in data warehousing, in semantic data compression, in broad applications. So all these are the data mining tasks which are based on frequent pattern mining. Now we are slightly moving towards our main aim, that is our fifth practical. So frequent patterns and few terms which are very much used during this fifth, sixth, seventh practicals. So just assume that uh, 5 customers have visited your store and they have purchased few items from your store. Fine. So for those customers, you have saved the transactions in data or database. So, and you have also assigned some transaction IDs like transaction ID 10 for first customer. That customer have purchased beer, nuts, diaper together. Then customer 2 has purchased beer, coffee, diaper. 3 has purchased beer, diaper, eggs. 4 has purchased nuts, eggs, milk. Fifth has purchased nuts, coffee, diaper, eggs, milk. Fine. So this is the data of 5 customers. Where you have given the transaction ID and which items bought by that customer. And if you analyze this data, you can observe that a kind of group of customer is there who have purchased beer. Other group of customers are there who have purchased diaper. And commonly or few customers are there who have purchased both also, commonly purchased these 2 items also. So third group of customer who has purchased both beer and diaper together. In short, in so many transactions you can find out beer. In so many transactions you can find out diaper. But also some transactions are there or many transactions are there where you can find out both the items, beer and diaper. So what you can say? You can say that beer, diaper are the frequent patterns for your data set. Now, few terms are there like item set. What is item set? Item set is a kind of set of items which can contain one or more items. Then K item set. K item set is nothing but the data set where you will find out K number of items in the data. Then absolute support and relative support. Absolute support, it is a kind of count or frequency or occurrences of any item in data set. And relative support is a kind of fraction of transaction, or you can say that probability of appearing that item in your data set. Fine. So this absolute support and relative support we'll discuss during the example. You will get clear idea about these 2 things while we'll do with sum. We are going to perform one sum. And an item set X is called frequent item set only if item set X support is no less than a minimum support threshold. It means what? Then you can, or let us say you are having too many item sets. From this data, you can prepare too many item sets. But which items to be considered as frequent patterns? Those item sets which are fulfilling your minimum support threshold criteria. That is, those item sets which are having minimum support great or equal to minimum support. The support, the item sets which are having the support or count or frequency great or equal to minimum support threshold. Only those items will be considered as frequent item set. Association rules, that is the concept of 6 practicals, so that we'll discuss later. Okay, now, most important is how this a priori algorithm is working. So based on that, principles are there and algorithm is there. So first, property or principle of a priori. Any subset of frequent item set must be frequent. That is a principle of a priori. So what is it? So if you are saying that beer, diaper, nuts, this item set is frequent item set. That means that it is fulfilling minimum support threshold criteria. So what will happen if you are saying that this item set is frequent item set? Then choose any of this subset. Choose any subset of this item set like beer, diaper, diaper, nuts, beer, nuts, or only beer, only diaper, only nuts. Choose any subset. That subset will be also frequent. That is the a priori principle. any subset of a frequent item set must be frequent. This is the principle of a priori. And other principle is also that is a priori pruning principle. What is this a priori pruning principle? If there is any item set which is infrequent, that is, it is not fulfilling minimum support threshold criteria, it is having the support or frequency less than minimum support, that is called infrequent item set. If any item set is infrequent, then its superset should not be generated or tested. We are not going to consider, in short, we are not going to consider those item sets for our analysis which are not frequent during this a priori application or implementation of a priori algorithm. That is a priori pruning principle. Now, a priori method, how this a priori is working. It is going to follow several steps. First step, initially it is going to do what? It is going to scan the database. From that, it is going to find out the frequent item set of size 1 first. Now, from that frequent item set of size 1, it is going to calculate further things. Like, it is going to generate candidate item set of size or length k plus 1 from frequent item set of size 1 or size k. Then it is going to test the candidate against database, and whichever item sets are not frequent, we are going to remove it, and we are going to find out frequent item set again. And we need to continue the same things again and again until and unless the last point. That is our stopping criteria. Terminate when no frequent or candidate item set can be generated. At that time, we need to stop. It is our stopping criteria. Fine. So all the steps you will be able to understand clearly whenever we are going to discuss with respect to an example. Okay. So all of you are requested to please note down this thing. This concept is most important for your mid as well as final both. So please parallelly calculate the things, and I will ask you many questions during this sum. So please be ready with that also. Okay, so you guys ready with this for this example? Are you all ready with this example? Shall we start this example? Thank you. Thank you so much for the response, Rakshit. Great. Again, repeating, this is the most important question topics for your mid as well as final. Then market basket analysis, frequent pattern analysis, this sum based on a priori. All these are the most important topics for your mid and final both. Fine. So let us start this sum. What is it? So for example, you are having a data set or database which is representing different items purchased by the customers. Like customer has purchased item A, C, D, customer 1 has purchased item A, C, D, with customer 2 has purchased B, C, E, third has purchased A, B, C, E, and fourth has purchased B. Fine, so total how many transactions you are having? In your database, currently total you are having 4 transactions. The data of 4 customers. Which customer has purchased which items? And we are also given with minimum support equal to 2. Now, what is this minimum support equal to 2? That will understand. So, for example, what is the support first? That you need to understand. And after understanding the concept of support, you will be able to understand the minimum support concept. Fine. So, as per the algorithm, what we are doing? As per the algorithm, scan the database once to get frequent item set of size 1. Right, so we need to scan the database, and if you want to have the frequent item set of size 1, first you need to compute candidate item set of size 1. So here what we are doing, what is the first step? Step number 1 is to generate candidate item set from your database along with its support count. Is the first. First, in first scan, what you are doing, you are identifying that, or you are creating item set with single items from your database. So which items are there, which are the individual items, which are the single items? You are preparing set of single items from your database. Like there is item A in your database, there is item B in your database, C, D, E. All these are the items, or you have prepared item set with single items at the first step, and you have also calculated its support count. What is support count? Support count is nothing but frequency. Frequency is nothing but appearances or occurrences. So support count, then frequency, then occurrences, all these are the same things. What is it? So now give me the answers of my questions. In this database, please listen my question carefully. In database, item A, here first we are having item set in which we are having only item A in the first record. So in your database, item set A or the item A is appearing in total how many number of transactions? Exactly. Thank you so much for the response, Dikshit. It is appearing 2 times in transaction ID 10 and 30. Now in second item set, we are having only B. So B is appearing in total how many number of transactions? Exactly. Thank you so much for the response, Dikshit. 3. That is transaction ID 20, 30, 40. C is appearing 3 times, 10, 20, 30. D is appearing only once in transaction ID 10. And E is appearing 3 times in 20, 30, and 40. Now you need to note down one thing here. It is not the appearances. We are not calculating the appearances here. We are calculating that how many, in how many number of transactions it is appearing. We are calculating the number of transactions, not items appearance or occurrence. Here we are calculating that in how many number of transactions it is there, it is available. Fine. So now we need to understand the concept of minimum support. So this 2, 3, 3, 1, 3, what all these things are? All these things are support. What is support as per the definition that we have seen previously? It is frequency. Occurrences, you can say. In how many number of transactions it is occurring, it is appearing. Fine. So this 2, 3, 3, 1, 3, all these are the support for these item set. Like 2 is support for item set where you are having only one item. 3 is support for item set which you are having only item B. 3 is support for C, 1 is support for D, 3 is support for E. Now we need to understand the concept of minimum support. Minimum support means what? You want to have particular items which is appearing at least few number of times. That is the concept of minimum support. Now, for example, if you are saying that for your analysis, you want to consider only those item sets which are appearing or which are having support of at least 2. which should be there at least in 2 transactions, or which should be at least appearing 2 times, at least 2 times, at least 2 times. That is minimum support. Minimum support equal to 2. That is minimum support equal to 2. Fine. So let us understand this concept with other example also, so that you can get it more clearly. Okay, so based on this also, I want few answers. So please be ready with for that. Currently, we are trying to understand the concept of minimum support, and all those things. Fine. So just simply assume that you are having a database where you are storing this kind of things, like you are storing transaction ID and items purchased by the customers, and you also store it with respect to transaction ID. Just assume that totally you are having 400 transactions, and where you are storing, or where customers are purchasing, let us say A, customer 1 has purchased A, N, L, 2 has purchased items, let us say E, A, P, H, 3 has purchased A, R, N, 4, let us say up to 400, 400 customer has purchased, let us say Y, U, O, for example. And so now, total we are having 400 transactions. In our database, totally we are having 400 transactions. Now, if I say that out of this 400 transaction, item set A, if I say that item A is present in, let us say, 200 transactions, then what can we say about this? If I'm saying that item A is present out of this 400, item A is present in 200 transactions, then what I can say? I can say that it's absolute support or frequency or support count is 200. Absolute support is just a kind of number of transactions in which that item is appearing. Frequency of that item is also, we are finding out that how many transactions it is appearing. And support count is also the same thing. This is absolute support or frequency or support count. Now, if you convert this value into percentage, you don't want to consider number of transactions, you want to have the support in percentage, then what will you do? If you want to convert this into percentage, then what we are doing, we are just using simple maths. That is, here, if I say that any item, assume any one item which is present in all the transactions, any item which is present in all the transactions, that is 400 transactions are there, its support will be 400, then you can say that it is present in 100% of the data or 100% of the transactions. Again repeating, if I say that if any one item is present in all the transactions, then I can say that it is present in 100% transactions. Then here with us, A is there in 200 transactions, then what will be its percentage? Simple maths. Anyone? Answer please. Exactly. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dikshit, for the response. You can say that it is appearing in 50% of data, you can say. Fine. So this 50% is what? This 50% is relative support of item A. And that is absolute support and that is relative support. Now, what is minimum support now? Minimum support, if I say, just let us assume few more things. Let us say item B is present, let us say 250 times or into 250 transactions. And I also say that C is present in, let us say, 20 transactions. And if I say that for my analysis, I want to consider only those items or item sets, which are appearing at least in 200 transactions. For my analysis, I want to consider only those items or item sets which are appearing at least in 200 transactions. That means what? We can say that our minimum support is 200. This is absolute value. It can be also given in terms of percentage. If you consider it in percentage, that it will be 50, as we had discussed. And so we can say that our minimum support is 50. And for our database, in the slide that we have seen, we are having transaction ID, we are having items, we are having total 4 transactions and different items. And they have given that minimum support equal to 2. 2 is absolute value here. That is given in that slide, right? So 2 is absolute value here. This means what? It means that we want to consider only those item sets or those items which are appearing at least in 2 transactions. That is the meaning of this minimum support. If you convert this 2 into percentage, then if you want to convert this 2 into percentage, then what value you will get? Exactly, again 50%, because total we are having 4 transactions. If any item is present in all transactions, that is 4 transactions, it will be having 100% support, or it is appearing in 100% of the transactions. If any item is appearing 2 times or in 2 transitions, then you can say that its support is 50%. So this minimum support in exam, it can be given in absolute value also or relative value also. Fine. So that you need to remember. Fine. So let us move ahead. Let me share the slide now. Now you will be able to understand the concept of frequent patterns and all. So I hope that it is visible to all. Okay, fine. So all the items, individual item sets that we have prepared initially by doing the first scan from database, all these are considered or called as candidate item set. Why it is called candidate item set? Because all this item set can be considered for finding out frequent item set. So you can say that all these are the candidates for being frequent, but only those items out of this can be considered as frequent. Those are fulfilling our minimum support threshold criteria. And it is C1. Why it is C1? Because it is candidate item set of size 1. In each set, we are having one items only. That's why it is C1, candidate item set of size 1. And out of this, only one item set is there, which is having item D, which is having support 1. Our minimum support is 2. That means what? We want to have only those item set which should have support count or support of frequency at least 2. Others we don't want to consider for our analysis. That's why we are going to remove it. We are going to discard it from our analysis. So D will not be considered for further analysis, and that is that pruning principle. Fine. So we are going to remove that D from that record, and whichever item sets are left, like A, B, C, E, as you can see that all are having support great or equal to minimum support. So what you can say for these item sets, all these are the item sets which can be considered as frequent item sets of size 1. Right? So what is L1? L1, A, B, C, E, all these are the frequent item sets of size 1. Now, as per the algorithm, we are having frequent item set of size 1. Now we need to generate candidate item set of k plus 1 size, that is size 2. So from L1, what we have done, we have find out the C1 first. From C1 L1. Now from L1 we will find out C2. We are going to find out C2 from L1. So for that, what we are going to do, we are going to generate combination of 2. From L1 we are going to generate combination of 2, like AB, AC, AE, BC, CE, all these kind of things. And that combinations, what we are preparing here, we are preparing item sets of size 2 from L1. So you can say that all these are the candidate item sets of size 2, C2. Now we need to find out, we need to scan the database and we need to find out the support for each sets. And for that, now give me few answers now. So our first set is AB. Now item A and B both are appearing together in how many number of transactions? Item set AB, that is item A and B both together, are appearing in how many number of transactions? Thank you for the response, Rakshit. That is transaction 30 only. Yes, exactly. Then item set AC is appearing in total how many number of transactions? AC. Again, verify, Rakshit. It is 302. Yes, it is 2. That is transaction ID 10 and 30. Now AE, only one. Yes, and that is 30. Now BC 2, exactly. Then BE, BE 3, exactly. Thank you so much for the response, Rakshit, Shivansh. That is transaction ID 20, 30, and 40. And CE 2, exactly. That is 20 and 30. So what we have done, we had find out its frequency or support count of each item sets or candidate item set of size 2. And out of all this, two sets are there, two item sets are there, which are not fulfilling our minimum support criteria. Item set AB, AE, both are having support 1, which is less than minimum support. So for our analysis, we want to discard it as per our a priori pruning principle. We are not going to consider it for further analysis. We are not going to generate it. We are not going to consider this item set for generating superset. Fine, so discard it, and whichever item sets will be left, all will be fulfilling your minimum support criteria, and that is why it is called frequent item sets L2, frequent item set of size 2. So AC, BC, BE, CE, all these are the frequent item sets of size 2. Now from L2, what we need to do? We need to generate combination of 3. Fine. So which kind of combinations are possible? Let us say ABC, BCE. These kind of combinations are possible. So from L2, we are going to generate C3 now. And here they have only mentioned BCE. You can also consider ABC. Fine. So now consider ABC also. ABC is appearing in total how many number of transitions? Because from AC, BC, BE, CE, you can also create combination of 3 like ABC. That is also kind of candidate item set. Now ABC is appearing in total how many number of transitions? Exactly. Thank you so much for the response. It is appearing only one. It is appearing only once. And BC is appearing BCE. Exactly. Two. So ABC is appearing once, BC is appearing 2 times. So here, what you can do, you can rule out ABC and you can consider BCE as frequent item set. So here one step is skipped, that is third scan you will be having support for ABC BCE, and then from that data set or those item sets with support you need to generate L3. So one step is skipped here, you need to add it, you need to generate ABC BCE, you need to in third scan you're going to find out its support counts, and then from that you're going to find a filter out the frequent item set where BCE is only the item set which is fulfilling or minimum support criteria. ABC is not fulfilling, so you're going to consider BCE only for L3. Now what is L3? L3 is frequent item set of size 3 with support count of 2. Fine. So now next we need to generate C4 from L3. Is it possible? Combination of 4 from L3. Is it possible? As we generated C2 from L1, then C3 from L2, can we generate C4 from L3? For that, we should have four items. Is it possible to generate C4 from L3? No, because we are not having sufficient items. We are having only 3 items there. We cannot generate candidate item sets of size 4. Then, as per the algorithm, we need to stop there. That is our stopping criteria. Terminate when no frequent or candidate item set can be generated. So currently for this example, we are not able to generate C4. In few examples will be there where you won't be able to generate L3 or L2 or frequent sets, because in candidate item set, no item set will be there which will be fulfilling your minimum support criteria. So you cannot generate frequent item set there. But in this case, we are not able to generate candidate item set. In few examples, you will not be able to generate frequent item sets. Fine. So this is the sum, and few kind of questions can be there, and from this steps and all you can give its answers. So let us go through those kind of questions also. Okay, so in exam you can be asked that find the candidate item sets. So for that kind of question, find candidate item set, you need to mention all the candidate item sets. So let us say we are having candidate item set of size 1 that we are denoting as C1. We are also having candidate item set of size 2, we are denoting as C2. And here we are also having candidate item set of size 3 that we are denoting as C3. Fine, so let us find the answers. From this, we can say that C1, C2, C3, all these are the candidate item sets of different sizes. So first A, B, C, D, E, That is candidate item set of size 1, A, then B, C, D, E. All these are what? Candidate item set of size 1. Now candidate item set of size 2, that is this one. AB, AC, AE, AB, AC, AE, BC, BEC, and candidate item set of size 3. Here one item set is not mentioned, that is ABC. You need to mention it. You need to mention that step also. ABC, and other is BC. And so all these are the candidate item set of different sizes. Other kind of question can be asked that find out frequent item sets. And here we are having frequent item sets of size 1 that we are denoting as L1. We are also having frequent item set of size 2 that we are denoting as L2. We are also having frequent item set of size 3. We are denoting as L3. And here L1, L2, L3, all these are the frequent item set of size 1, ABC only, ABCE only. A, B, C, E. Then of size 2, we are having AC, BC, BEC. AC, BC, BE, and C. And L3, we are having only one, ECE. Now, one more kind of question can be asked, that is, find out largest candidate item set. Now, what is largest candidate item set? The item sets with maximum number of items. Item sets with maximum number of items. That is these two. These two item sets are there. These two candidate item sets are there, which are having maximum number of items in it. So here you are having only one items. Here you are having two items. Here you are having three items. So these item sets can be considered as largest candidate item sets. And you can be also asked to find out largest frequent item sets. And from this frequent item set, these item sets are having only single items. These item sets are having only two items. This is having 3. You can consider BCE as largest frequent item set. So whichever question is asked, as per that you need to give the answer. Okay, so that is it, and that is your, you can say that kind of demonstration of different things. Okay, before that, before going further, up to this, anybody need doubt, any kind of question? Up to this, anybody, any doubt, any kind of question? Thank you for the response, Rakshit. Thank you, Dikshit. Thank you, Shivansh. Great. I hope that no queries are there. Fine. So what we have done in today's lab, let me show you that also. Fine. So we gone through step one, like we were having data set where few items were purchased by the customers, where with one example we had seen only four transactions, and at least let us say five customers and all. So we going through different other item set, or you can say that other kind of things, but that we'll discuss with other example also. We'll see one more example based on the same thing with the data set of online shopping and all. Then if you find that any transaction is not having any item, or items which you don't want to consider, you need to remove it. That is pre-processing. Then we have understood the concept of support, minimum support and all. We applied a priori on data set, and we came up with frequent item sets. Fine. So one more example we'll see in the next lab, and then we will find out the association rules for that. Fine. So that's it for today's lab. And I will create Google Classroom task up to fourth practical. So you need to submit your lab manual there. I will create it soon. And that's it for today's lab. Let me take the attendance now, just a minute. Starting with Dikshit. Janvi is asking about mid syllabus. Mid syllabus is unit 1 and 4. Tara, thank you. Then Mahek Kumar, thank you. Pratipal Singh, not responding. Dhruv, not responding. Archit, not responding. Janvi, thank you. Amit Kumar, thank you. Kishan Kumar, not responding. Priyank, thank you. Ruchita, Raj, no response. Rikshit, no response. Rakshit, thank you. Yash, thank you. Dhruvi, thank you. Nemish, Shivansh, thank you. Dhruvin, no response. Dharmendra, no response. Abhinash, thank you. Anybody left? Pratipal Singh 124. Okay, done. Fine. So thank you so much, all of you. Thank you for attending this lab. Thank you so much.